October 13th, 1972. A date that would be etched into the annals of history. High in the Andes Mountains, a plane carrying a Uruguayan rugby team and their loved ones vanished into the icy wilderness. The serene beauty of the snow-capped peaks belied the tragedy that had just unfolded. Flight 571, en route from Montevideo to Santiago, had crashed. The impact was devastating, scattering debris across the unforgiving landscape. The world held its breath, unaware of the incredible fight for survival that had just begun. Newsrooms buzzed with the breaking news, but the true extent of the disaster was yet to be realized. This was no ordinary plane crash. The survivors were thrust into a battle against nature's most brutal forces. This was a fight against the most unforgiving elements on Earth. Blizzards, freezing temperatures, and the sheer isolation of the Andes created a perfect storm of challenges. The Andes, with their towering peaks and freezing temperatures, offered little hope. The majestic mountains stood as silent sentinels, indifferent to the plight of the stranded passengers. But amidst the wreckage, 33 souls clung to life, their will to survive ignited. They huddled together for warmth, sharing whatever resources they could find. This is their story. A story of courage, resilience, and the extraordinary lengths humans will go to in order to survive. They faced unimaginable hardships, yet their spirit remained unbroken. This is the mystery of Flight 571, a tale of human endurance and the will to live against all odds. The initial impact was devastating. The Fairchild FH-227D, thrown off course by a navigational error, slammed into a hidden mountainside. 12 lives were lost instantly. Others succumbed to injuries in the hours that followed. The survivors faced a chilling reality. They were stranded, injured, and alone at over 11,000 feet. The air was thin, making each breath a struggle. The biting cold cut through their clothes. Panic threatened to consume them, but survival instincts kicked in. The group, many of them young rugby players, drew strength from their camaraderie. They knew they had to work together if they wanted to see another sunrise. Shelter was paramount. The freezing Andean nights could kill as surely as any injury. Using whatever they could salvage from the plane, the survivors set about creating a makeshift refuge. The shattered fuselage became their sanctuary. They used suitcases, cushions, anything to plug holes and keep out the relentless wind. Seat covers were repurposed as blankets, offering meager warmth against the relentless cold. It wasn't much, but it was all that stood between them and the deadly elements. Inside this twisted metal cocoon, a flicker of hope began to glow. Section 4. The Dwindling Lifeline. Food and Water. In the harsh, unforgiving environment of the mountains, survival hinged on the most basic necessities. Food and water were scarce, almost non-existent. The once plentiful supplies had dwindled to nothing. The group pooled their meager rations, stretching them as far as possible. Chocolate bars, a jar of jam, and a few packets of crackers. These became precious commodities, symbols of hope in a bleak landscape. Each cracker was divided meticulously, each morsel savored as if it were a feast. The act of sharing became a ritual, a way to maintain a semblance of normalcy. But as days turned into weeks, a horrifying truth settled in. Their meager supplies wouldn't last. The empty containers and somber faces told a story of impending doom. Starvation loomed, a grim specter haunting their waking hours. The once strong and resilient group now appeared gaunt and frail, their strength sapped by hunger. They were faced with an unimaginable choice, a decision no one should have to make. The gravity of their situation forced them to confront their deepest fears and moral boundaries. To survive, they had to consume the bodies of their fallen comrades. It was a decision born of desperation, a testament to their will to live, and a haunting reminder of their dire circumstances. It was a decision born of desperation, a testament to their will to live. Each bite was a struggle, a battle between the instinct to survive and the horror of their actions. This grim pact would fuel their bodies, but it also cast a long shadow over their spirits. The weight of their choice lingered, a constant reminder of the cost of survival in the most extreme conditions. Section 5. Battling the elements with ingenuity. The Andes were relentless. Freezing temperatures, blinding snowstorms, and the constant threat of avalanches tested their resolve. But the survivors met each challenge with resourcefulness and grit. They fashioned clothing from luggage fabric, adding extra layers of insulation. They urinated on their hands to prevent frostbite, a desperate measure in a desperate situation. Every scrap of material, every ounce of ingenuity, was a weapon against the cold. Their rugby training, once focused on the field of play, now became a fight for survival. Their teamwork, their discipline, their unwavering spirit, these were the tools that kept them alive. Section 6. A desperate gamble for rescue. Days turned into weeks, hope dwindling with each passing hour. The survivors knew that rescue, if it came at all, wouldn't find them. They had to find a way out, to become their own saviors. Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa, two young men driven by the slimmest threads of hope, stepped forward. Their mission to trek over the treacherous peaks, to find a way out of the frozen wasteland. It was a suicide mission, a last-ditch effort against insurmountable odds. But, fueled by the hopes of their companions, Parado and Canessa set off into the blinding white wilderness. Section 7. The Triumph of the Human Spirit. The journey was harrowing, filled with unimaginable challenges and relentless obstacles. Parado and Canessa battled exhaustion, altitude sickness, and the ever-present threat of death. Each step was a testament to their willpower and determination. But after 10 grueling days, they stumbled upon a Chilean shepherd, a beacon of hope in a sea of white. This encounter was nothing short of miraculous. The world watched in astonishment as, after 72 days lost in the Andes, the survivors of Flight 571 emerged. Their ordeal had captured the hearts and minds of people everywhere. They had stared death in the face and emerged victorious. Their survival was a testament to human resilience and the power of hope. Their story, a testament to the indomitable spirit of mankind, showed the world what humans are capable of when pushed to their limits. The miracle of the Andes, as it came to be known, is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can endure. It is a story that continues to inspire generations. It teaches us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. True bravery is facing the unknown and persevering despite the odds. And it shows us that the human spirit, when tested to its limits, is capable of extraordinary things.
After the initial shock of the crash subsided, the survivors found themselves stranded on a desolate mountainside, battered, bruised, and facing the brutal reality of their situation. The crash had left them in a state of disarray, with the cold, harsh environment adding to their despair. They were isolated, with no immediate hope of rescue. The biting wind, the relentless snow, and the freezing temperatures were immediate threats. The weather was unforgiving, and every gust of wind felt like a knife cutting through their already fragile bodies. The snowstorm showed no signs of letting up, making their situation even more dire. They knew they needed shelter, and fast. Without it, they wouldn't last long in these extreme conditions. The urgency of their search was palpable, as they scoured the area for anything that could offer some protection from the elements. Imagine, you're surrounded by the wreckage of your plane, a jumble of metal and wire. The once mighty aircraft now lay in ruins, a stark reminder of the catastrophe that had befallen them. Yet, within this chaos, there was a glimmer of hope. But amidst the chaos, you have to find the resources, the will to survive. Every piece of debris, every scrap of material became a potential lifeline. The survivors scavenged tirelessly, knowing that their survival depended on their resourcefulness. These survivors, they didn't give in to despair. Despite the overwhelming odds, they remained determined. Their resilience was a testament to the human spirit, refusing to be broken by the harsh conditions. They used what they could salvage from the plane: seats, luggage, anything to create a makeshift shelter. It was a crude construction, but it provided a semblance of safety. The survivors worked together, pooling their skills and resources to build something that could shield them from the relentless weather. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The shelter was basic, but it offered a crucial barrier against the elements. It was a small victory in their fight for survival. They huddled together for warmth, using the plane's fuselage as a windbreak, desperately trying to shield themselves from the elements. The closeness provided not just physical warmth, but also a sense of solidarity and hope. Every scrap of material was precious, every bit of insulation vital. They used anything they could find to insulate their makeshift shelter, understanding that these small efforts could mean the difference between life and death. They were battered, bruised, but not broken. Their injuries were severe, but their spirit remained unyielding. They drew strength from each other, finding the will to push forward. They had taken their first steps towards survival. It was a long road ahead, but these initial efforts laid the foundation for their continued fight against the odds. Their journey had just begun, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Time is a cruel thief in survival situations, stealing away the precious moments you have left. Days turned into weeks, and the initial meager rations they salvaged, a few chocolates, some bottles of wine, began to dwindle. Each day, the supplies grew smaller, and the hope of finding more seemed to fade with the setting sun. The gnawing pangs of hunger became a constant companion, a relentless reminder of their dire situation. They were literally staring death in the face, with every passing moment bringing them closer to the edge. Imagine, the meager rations you salvaged are disappearing day by day, leaving you with nothing but the cold, harsh reality of survival. The chocolate, once a small comfort, now a distant memory, a luxury they could no longer afford. The wine, a cruel reminder of a life left behind, a life that seems so far away now. Hunger gnaws at your insides, a constant, painful companion that refuses to be ignored. The survivors knew they had to find a way to sustain themselves, to keep going despite the odds stacked against them. They melted snow for drinking water, their bodies craving sustenance, their minds desperate for a solution. The will to live, the hope of rescue, fueled their determination. They looked to the horizon, praying for a miracle. They knew that to survive, they had to think like the wild animals they encountered, resourceful, adaptable, and willing to push their boundaries to the limit. This is where the human spirit shines through, that primal instinct to survive against all odds, to fight for another day. They were pushed to the brink, but they didn't give up. Together they found strength in unity, in the shared will to survive. Now, I've eaten some pretty crazy things to survive. Bugs, worms, and even some plants that I couldn't identify. Snakes, you name it. But nothing compares to the gut-wrenching decision these survivors had to make in the face of extreme adversity. Starvation gnawed at their bellies, their bodies growing weaker by the day. Every step became a monumental effort, every breath a struggle. They were faced with an impossible choice: die slowly or consume the flesh of the deceased. It was a decision that no one should ever have to make. It's a taboo subject, I know, but out there in the unforgiving wilderness, survival often comes at a cost. The harsh reality of nature doesn't care about our societal norms. Imagine the weight of that decision, the moral struggle, the sheer desperation. The mental and emotional toll it takes is unimaginable. They were staring death in the face, their bodies screaming for nourishment. The line between life and death blurred, and their instincts took over. They made a pact, a solemn vow to honor the dead by using their bodies to survive. It was a decision that bound them together in their darkest hour. It was a decision born out of necessity, a testament to their will to live. Their determination to survive was stronger than the fear of the unknown. The human spirit is capable of incredible things, but it can also be pushed to unimaginable limits. In those moments, we discover what we are truly made of. This, my friends, was one of those times. A time when survival meant making the hardest choices, and the human spirit shone through the darkest of days. Chapter 4. Strength in numbers united against the elements. Out in the wild, isolation can be as deadly as any predator. But these survivors, they had each other. They shared their meager rations, their hopes, their fears. They laughed together, cried together, kept each other's spirits up. Imagine, huddled together in that makeshift shelter, sharing stories, memories of home, anything to distract from the harsh reality outside. This sense of community, of shared purpose, was their lifeline. They knew that their strength lay in their unity, in their ability to support one another. They kept each other going when all hope seemed lost. It's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, human connection can be a beacon of light, a source of strength. They faced the unimaginable together, and that made all the difference. Chapter 5. A desperate gamble. The ascent for hope. Hope is a powerful motivator. It can drive us to do extraordinary things, to push beyond our limits. And for these survivors, hope came in the form of a daring plan, to send a group out into the mountains, to seek help. They had salvaged some hiking gear, even a couple of pairs of skis, from the wreckage. It was a long shot, a desperate gamble, but they were determined to take it. Imagine strapping on those makeshift skis, the biting wind whipping at your face, and venturing out into the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Andes. Every step was a battle against exhaustion, against the elements, against the odds. But they kept going. driven by the faintest glimmer of hope. It was a testament to their courage, their unwavering belief that they could escape the clutches of the mountains. Chapter 6. The Mind's Resilience. Finding Strength Within. Survival isn't just about physical strength. It's about mental fortitude. Out there, in the wilderness, your mind can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. These survivors, they knew they had to stay strong, not just for themselves, but for each other. They clung to hope, to the belief that they would be rescued. Imagine the sun setting over the snow-capped peaks, casting long shadows across the wreckage. It's easy to lose yourself in despair, to succumb to the overwhelming odds. But they found ways to cope, to keep their spirits up. They told stories, shared memories, sang songs. They held on to their faith, their dreams, anything to keep the darkness at bay. They proved that the human spirit is capable of enduring unimaginable hardship, that even in the face of death, hope can flicker brightly. Chapter 7. The Body's Limits. Adapting to Survive. The human body is an incredible machine. It's capable of adapting to extreme conditions, of enduring incredible hardship. And these survivors, they were living proof of that. Over time, their bodies began to acclimatize to the altitude, to the cold. They learned to treat frostbite, to conserve heat, to make the most of their dwindling resources. Imagine the biting wind seeping through your thin layers of clothing, the constant threat of hypothermia. But you learn to adapt, to find ways to stay warm, to keep going. They were pushed to their absolute limits, but they never gave up. They proved that the human body is capable of extraordinary resilience, that even in the harshest of environments, life finds a way. It's a humbling reminder of our own inner strength, of the incredible power of the human will to survive. Outro, a testament to the human spirit. The story of the Flight 571 survivors is a testament to the human spirit and the will to live. They faced unimaginable horrors, made impossible decisions, and emerged from the ordeal forever changed. Their story reminds us that even in the darkest of times, hope can flicker brightly. It shows us the power of human connection, the importance of resilience, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. If you found this video inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories of survival. Thanks for watching.